Okay, so now I'm just going to do an overview of the um, of the grammar and usage exercises that you'll find in in Aiken. So let's just look at a few examples. First, here's a grammar and usage exercise, or yeah, set of exercises for pre one. These are for well, it's hard to explain why it says teens. That has more to do with my own program, but anyway. So let's just look at some of these examples and figure out what we can learn about ACAN, about the higher level ACAN, by looking at them. So here we go. The new employee impressed his colleagues by working nantoka. He finished every one of his assignments ahead of time. You have to know the word diligently. That's it. This is a vocabulary question. These are all adverbs, right? There's no there's no usage confusion here. We all know that's an adverb, so there's no subtlety about grammar or usage there. That's a vocabulary question. Next one. It took the scientist 2 weeks to get to the jungle where he would be doing research. The last Nantaka of the voyage was a long ride up a river in a small boat. Okay, now not a big I'm not crazy about this choice of words, but the only one that works is segment. Now this if I had heard the word leg, I would have thought, aha, leg of the voyage. That I would have thought, that's idiomatic language. We can play around with that. We can get the kids curious about that. But really, segment is standalone vocabulary word. Okay, they're clearly focusing for both of these first two questions on vocabulary. Next one. The Nantaka in the nation's economy led to a sudden increase in the unemployment rate. Times are difficult for everyone, said the president. Oh, how insightful of the president. You have to know the word downturn. Now, I'm going to say downturn in the nation's economy. That's idiomatic language. Here, segment, that's not idiomatic. Segment is a standalone vocabulary word. But really, downturn collocates with words like economy. So, one thing you can do is, if you want to expand upon this, you can play around with the expression economy and downturn. When you see an idiomatic expression like this, don't just let them learn the Japanese correlate of the word. You've got to show them how it works in context. Downturn collocates with not very many other words. Okay, you have to think in terms of collocation sometimes. When you've got a collocation like this, you need to study it with the kids. And when I say study it with the kids, I mean, go to the board and actually, what you want to do is you want to look up. Actually, you can search for one of these online. Actually, you can search for this on the internet, collocations. And in fact, you know what? Let's do that right now. Let's do that right now because this is part of preparing. Um, and you always want to think, what is the purpose of? Oops, hang on. I want to think, how can I make this work? You want to think toggle. Interesting. Well, okay, toggle. Very nice. Okay, we're going to go over here. We're going to look up collocations. I've never done this online. I have my own collocations dictionary, but there's a definition. And here we got online collocation dictionary of English. Fantastic. So what you want to do when you see a good word like that, you go over here and you type the word downturn. And it's going to bring up all the words that go with downturn. So, for example, Serious downturn, severe. These are adjectives that go with downturn. Serious downturn, severe downturn, sharp downturn, significant downturn. So this is what I mean by collocations. For example, happy downturn. Is that a grammatical error? Of course not. Happy downturn is just something you don't hear often. These two words don't go together. Maybe unhappy downturn? Maybe. But if you read a lot of newspapers, you'll see it more things like this. Unfortunate downturn. Why? I don't know. It's just much more common. Unfortunate downturn, right? That'd be more common, right? So, when you see a collocation like this, bring their attention to it. And it's not that you're going to teach them every single collocation in the English language. You want to draw their attention to the fact that some words have collocations, that have limited collocations. For example, verb plus downturn, experience a downturn, suffer a downturn. And yeah, it's downturn in nantoka. Now, it doesn't say noun here, but I would definitely add downturn in the economy. Downturn in stock performance, maybe. It all tends to refer to economic things. So anyway, and you do this by putting examples up on the board, and then I would say if you really want to go with a particular collocation and get the kids engaged with it, do dictation. Say sentences using the expression downturn, and try to think of a variety of expressions and get them writing them up on the board. Here's an example of a word with very particular collocations that's actually very common that gets misused. I actually ended up doing this with one of my kids these days, recently. Challenge, right? You've heard, if you've been in Japan for a while, you've heard the word challenge misused. I'm not going to go into the details, but think about the way that challenge gets used. Challenge is a noun or a verb, and just think of all the sentences that go with challenge and use those for dictation activities. And the way I do dictation is with a large class, I'll pass out scrap paper to everybody. I say the sentence, I have them write it down, and I call on a random 6 kids to write that sentence up on the board. And I find the kids really get into that. Speaking it, having the kids write it down. I think a little bit later I'll talk a little bit about dictation, because you do not want them doing dictation word by word. You want them to try to write the whole sentence in 1 or 2 hearings. And in later videos we'll talk about that. But anyway, that's a collocation. So coming back to what we were working on a moment ago, and then I'm going to zoom out here again. I'm going to blow up my screen here. Okay. Nope, not that. We had 2 vocabulary problems, 1 usage problem. The article on Isaac Newton contained a few nantoka details, such as his place of birth. That's going to be an adjective. You know it's one of these, right? It's going to be a standalone. So biographical, not theological, not proportional, not horizontal. It's just a vocabulary expression. Again, I'm saying it's a standalone vocabulary word because biographical can go with all sorts of things. Biographical novel. Biographical concepts, right? It's a word that collocates with lots of other words, so don't worry about collocations with a word like that. At first, Don was scared of his friend's dog, but when it sat down and began to nantoka its tail, that is a collocation, and it's a fun collocation. You wag a tail, you wag your finger. In fact, let's just do this again. Let's jump over here to, where is it? We're doing this again. We have to, come on, toggle. Okay, collocation is a really good way to come at things. Unfortunately, it's one of the few ways you can teach grade pre-1 vocabulary. Most of the vocabulary that the kids are going to acquire for pre-1 is going to be done by extensive reading that you'll have to build towards, and I'll talk about building towards extensive reading habits in the future. Let's do wag. All right, furiously. The dog raced ahead, its tail wagging furiously. Really? Wag furiously? I didn't know that one. I'm not crazy about this particular collocation dictionary. It doesn't seem to be picking up everything. But that's fine because it so happens there are lots of collocation dictionaries. For a little while, for those of you that have MA TESOLs, you may recall that teaching by collocations was a big fad for a while. I'm not a big fan of it as a exclusive approach to teaching grammar, but it's a concept that's important. So I'm going to write wag here, see what I get. Ooh, this is more like a concordancer, where you see lots of contexts in which wag gets used. That's cool. I'm going to go over here, try one. No, that's meaning collocation. Try that. Wag. Wag. Okay. Furiously. I did not know that furiously was strongly correlated with the word flag. Wag. I would focus more on the nouns with which it goes, but anyway. You might have to look around, but this is not something you can improvise on the fly, right? If you're gonna do Aiken problems in class, look at them ahead of time and get a clear sense of what they what kind of exercise, kind of language problems they present. I'm just going to tell you right now, if you're looking at pre-1 exercises, you're going to be focusing mostly on usage and vocabulary. And when I say usage, I'm talking mostly about collocation, though you might get even larger idioms that you want to play around with. But if you see an idiom, like a collection of words that is common, or if you see a collocation, you want to take that as an opportunity to engage the kids with it. And you're going to engage them with it not through more paper exercises. You're going to engage them with it orally. I find dictation is a good way to do it, because it allows them to still write, but they're having to hear it correctly. But there's that. That's that. So anyway, I'm going to jump over to Teen 2. Okay, this is Aiken 2 exercises. Jump over here. Yeah, again, this is a good one. Look at number 4. This is for grade 2. Greg was pleased when his school nantoka his uniform with its uniform. He prefers wearing casual clothes. You can think of this as did away. You can think of this as collocation work, but this is very idiomatic. And again, it's not going to work for them just to study vocabulary words, right? You're going to have to enhance their awareness of the fact that words cluster together and have meanings, have semantics that go beyond their each individual word's semantics, right? In fact, did away, these are two grammatical morphemes that together become a lexical morpheme. Interesting, eh? So, phrasal verbs, go out. All right? Think of that. The approach to that is going to also be similar to collocations, though you might find it's a little bit more rigid. All right, I'm going to jump down to, well, I'm going to jump all the way down to T4, just to give you a sense of how things change when you get down to that level. Not T4. Yeah. Sorry. Just stop. Okay. There we go. Oh, that'll work. Okay, so a lot of vocabulary, but like for example, number 7. What did you do yesterday, Kevin? My hair was too long, so I went to the what? barbershop. That's just vocabulary, right? But look and don't waste your time teaching vocabulary in class. Um, Focus on the things that where you can really deliver value in class. For example, um, there. Please none take off your shoes here. Have off, take off, like off, do off. No, take off, right? That's a phrasal verb. And those things are really important because it's very hard to just memorize words and enough to be able to master these kinds of expressions, these phrasal expressions. And so that's something you can do in class. This is a grammar point actually. Jane is very kind, so she soon became friends. Nantaga her new classmates. Okay. Definitely at the lower levels, but even at the higher levels, you do get prepositions. Um, Anything you do with prepositions is really valuable. But again, you want to do it orally. You don't want to do it as paper exercises. Um, do it as dictation. Um, Show images and have them articulate what they're seeing. Get them to verbalize what they're seeing. Get them to say these sentences in the right pattern. I'm going to talk more about this later, but when you get a grammatical concept like prepositions, really make sure they understand how that preposition sounds in a sentence. For example, put the pencil on the table. Put the pencil on the table. Make them say those sentences out loud because you will hear them say things like put pencil table on, right? Or pencil on table, right? No, make them say that a nice, big, fat, beautiful, perfect sentence and insist upon that because prepositions are not lexical morphemes. They are grammatical morphemes. They do not make any sense whatsoever except in context, right? So you want to put it into an oral context. We'll talk more in other videos about how to do grammar orally. That's really important. Let me see if there's anything else here. Okay, so that's enough for that. Oh, one more thing I want to say about doing exercises like these in class. If you gotta have them do it on a piece of paper for whatever reason, I don't know, they like it, fine. But much, much, much better to put this up on a screen. Heck, make a big nah, not gonna be big enough. I mean, if you have a setup in your room where you can share an iPad or a tablet to a overhead projector, so that you can really zoom in. Oh, it's just an old-fashioned OHP will work too. But do the exercises together, out loud. Get them verbalizing it. Don't have them staring down at their desk with a piece of paper. Have them verbalizing everything they're understanding, even when it comes to vocabulary-based stuff. Even when it comes to this stuff. If you're going through the exercises, don't go. So what's number one? Oh, Kento. What's number one? Kento says, oh, two. No. Kento, not only should Kento say vacation, Kento should read the whole sentence. He should say, what are your plans for the summer vacation? I'll go to Hawaii. And here's the thing. Exploit these exercises as much as you can. If Kento says, Wato are your plans for summer vacation? I'll go to Hawaii. No. Usually, and I'm not making fun of the Japanese nation here. You have to understand. A lot of times, kids will actually speak in katakana when they know how to speak in natural language, and you've got to push them towards natural language. So every opportunity you get, you need to push that. You got to make Kento say, what are your plans? What are your plans? And pass it around the room. Call on other kids. What are your plans? Call on another kid. What are your plans for the summer vacation? for the summer vacation. Make them get it right, make them hear it, make them feel it, all right? These are all opportunities for them to get the sound of the language into their bodies, okay? Even if it's a vocabulary problem, forget about whether or not they can get that answer right. Fully exploit the language content that exists in the exercise, all right? Engage them with it orally. You know, and if a kid says, "Hey, what is culture?" Whoa. They say, "What is culture?" Take it and run with it, right? Get them articulating, create every opportunity you can to have them engage with the material orally, and also to reciprocate any interest that they express. Okay, exploit the material as much as you can. All right. I'm going to talk a lot about different strategies for getting kids to verbalize their understanding of English. And sorry for how rough these videos are, but I hope this was a little bit useful. Bye bye.